Well, folks, it looks like we are live. Welcome to what I think is the 88th episode of Real Hawk Talk. We are approaching the big 3 digits of 100, which is super exciting. We've been doing this for a couple of years now. Welcome to tonight's show. We are obviously going to be breaking down Seahawks and Packers divisional round. They play Sunday night at what I believe is 4:45 Pacific time. Do you guys know if I have that right? Something like that. It's in the 4 p.m. range. Basically the second time
3:40. I think you're an hour off.
3:40 p.m. Pacific time. Don't miss the Seahawks game on Sunday. We are the same slot as last week, which is a weird coincidence. But anyways, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Evan Hill, Evan in SEA. You've got Nathan Ernst, Nathan E11 on Twitter, and Jeff Simmons at Real Jeff Simmons on Twitter. Look at me doing the show intro just like Brian does weekly. This is kind of weird for me because I typically host the post-game shows, so it's a completely different rhythm. I feel like less emotion, more rational thoughts going through my brain, less testosterone pumping through my blood. I don't know if that's a thing. Doesn't feel like it right now. But we're here to talk Seahawks Packers. We've got a big week coming up. Obviously, the Seahawks beat the Eagles 17-9 last week, just like they did what seemed like 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks ago, whatever it was earlier in the season. They won by the exact same score, which is funny. But, I'm excited. I'm really excited about this game. I'm really excited to break down this game, talk about our strengths, talk about our weaknesses, talk about reasons for us to be hopeful, talk about reasons for us to be pessimistic. We'll cover both sides of the argument heading into Sunday night's matchup against the Packers. The one thing I want to remind people just before we jump into the details and the analysis here is that, NFL playoffs are really, really weird in the sense that they're just one game. It's single elimination, obviously. This is not like the NBA or the MLB where it's the best of 7. The better team does not always win. We saw that in what I feel like were the Patriots loss and the Saints loss on last weekend, both to, I think, what most people would agree to be powerhouse teams in the NFL and definitely previous threats for Super Bowl runs. Personally, I was much more concerned about the Saints from the NFC side, obviously. I think we've discussed in our group chat a few times off and on that the Saints probably pose the biggest threat to a Seahawks Super Bowl run. Obviously, the Niners are up there too. But playing in the Superdome was a very, very scary thought. So with that said, we're going into a big week. The Seahawks are basically 0-0. We just got to win one game at a time. We're playing for an NFC championship berth. I can't believe this dumb football team that we've been talking about for the past 4 months, with all of their flaws and with everything we know and love about them, is playing for an NFC championship berth on Sunday. So that was a very long-winded intro, but Nathan and Jeff, first of all, welcome to the show. And I want to hit Nathan, you with a question right off the bat. Let's start with the positive side. People always ask for the positive side of things when we talk about the Seahawks. What is the argument for the Seahawks beating the Packers on Sunday? If the Seahawks beat the Packers on Sunday, what has to happen? What are the reasons for optimism on Sunday?
I think we have this question almost every week, and I think we all give the exact same answer almost every week. Seattle has one of the 3 or 5 best quarterbacks in the league, and when you have that, you can win any football game. Like, it's just Russell Wilson, like, hands down. As long as he's this team's quarterback, this team can go a long ways. I think, a little bit more like detailed or nuanced than that. I think it was Brian that was pulling up the data on the explosives that Green Bay gives up. I think Green Bay has been a pretty good defense this year overall, but one of their weak spots is giving up big plays. And that's something that obviously, that's a bad matchup for them in that way. So I think that's, the big thing is just always Russell. And I think that specifically is something that's encouraging.
Does DK Metcalf's performance last week lead you to believe that he might have a big performance this week?
Not so much the performance last week. Like, I don't think last week changed anything for me. It all came together and like it all clicked in a game, but like I don't think he did. I mean, he's looking better. Like, there's a lot of people that are like showing some of the routes he's doing. He's running some crisp routes. He looks pretty good. But like just generally, like DK looked like DK. He just had a little bit more opportunities. So I think it's more again about the explosives that Green Bay tends to give up that makes me think that he could repeat his performance.
So for people that don't know, DK Metcalf set the single game playoff record for a rookie in terms of the most receiving yards for an NFL rookie receiver. He had like 160 yards. I think it was even on Sunday. So obviously a huge game from him, and hoping to see the same on Sunday. Jeff, what's your take on Sunday? What has to happen if the Seahawks win on Sunday? What has to happen? And I don't want you to answer Russell Wilson, so we're going to take him out of the equation.
Okay, that's a good question. Obviously, that's the best answer. I think the Seahawks need to hold up in pass protection because I think the Packers' best strength is the pass rush. The Darius Smith and Preston Smith, those guys are pretty good. Kenny Clark, who's banged up a little right now. They have a defensive line similar to what they saw in Philly and San Francisco. And once they were able to kind of hold up in pass pro, their offense in that second half of the San Francisco game and a lot of the time last week, that's when they took off. And really, just you kind of need to see what we saw last week, sort of from Clowney and from Diggs and some of the playmakers on defense, because the Packers aren't – it's weird to say, but the scariest parts of the Packers are now their pass protection on offense and their defensive line. It's not Aaron Rodgers. It's not their offense and their passing game like it used to be. If the defense plays well, they can take over this game. And if you look at the Packers' schedule, digging into them a little deeper, anytime they've played a quality opponent this year outside of the Vikings, who they know very well, there was the Chargers game, the Niners game, they got their asses kicked. And we all watched that Lions game, week 17, where the Packers had to win. That's against like the Lions' fifth-string quarterback, and that was a struggle. So we've talked so much about the Seahawks and how they're not as good as their record. The Packers are a lot like that too. So that's where the Seahawks do have a strength. And it's simple. Nathan said it. But if you consider that combined that the Seahawks do have a better quarterback, yeah, there's a lot of reasons to think they can pull this off.
Jeff, does the Lions loss to the Packers earlier in this season, where the refs seemingly played a very strong role in that game's result, bother you at all? I feel like I hear you mention it quite a few times.
It would have had the Seahawks won the NFC West. That would have been the difference between a bye and the 3 seed. In hindsight, now that the Saints lost, this actually might have worked out in their favor. Because had that ever happened, the Seahawks would have had to play the Saints this week, and the Packers would have been the 3 seed. So I was upset about that game. That game really irked me at the time, but if we're talking about a Seahawks Super Bowl chances, that actually might have ended up working out better because now the Saints got eliminated.
So one observation I took away from both of your answers is neither of you talked about or mentioned the concern of playing in Lambeau. Now, Evan Hill, weather expert, has pulled up google.com and searched the weather for Green Bay to inform all of our listeners of what Russell Wilson would be playing in on Sunday night. So currently projected 10% chance of precipitation. That is a very good thing since Russell historically has seemed to struggle in snow, in rain. We have wind at 5 miles an hour, which is basically nothing. And then we have a temperature average of 25 degrees. So right now, fingers crossed, knock on wood, that stays the same. Regardless of the weather, does playing in Lambeau concern you? I know this has been like a huge talking point on Seahawks Twitter this past week about, we go to Lambeau, we lose every single time. It's always snowing. Aaron Rodgers is suddenly somehow better in Lambeau. Do you share that same concern? You're muted, Nathan.
I'm not. No, I don't know if like Aaron Rodgers gets magically better in Lambeau, but yeah, it's not just the Seahawks who get worse in Lambeau. Like I don't know what it is. I haven't heard the stat since Michael Vick won there, but like when the Falcons went in there and beat Favre with Michael Vick, like that was shocking and something that had not happened in a long time. They don't lose playoff games in Lambeau very often to anyone. And then you can get into all the stuff with Russell not playing well in the wind and the rain and the snow in this case, maybe. I mean, we'll see what the weather's like, but all that stuff absolutely factors in. So yeah, going on the road to Lambeau in the playoffs, like that's bad times. That's scary stuff.
So just to throw a stat out there, they are 18-5 all time at home in Lambeau. So
playoffs?
Correct. That's what we're dealing with. Jeff, do you share the same concern? Where's your mind at?
My biggest concern is that Russell has played so poorly in Lambeau. And I don't know if that's a flukish thing. And I don't know, some of the data could probably say that might just be a.
Well, you're missing a key point here, Jeff. Jermaine Kearse has been one of the Seahawks receivers and a cause of multiple interceptions, multiple incompletions, a loss of any synergy and momentum, which does exist, Nathan. So
wait, are we doing this? Are we doing? Wait, hold up. First of all,
Nathan, you froze. You pulled a real Jeff Simmons. That's okay.
No. Okay.
First of all, what was he gonna say? I have no idea.
Oh, he looks so happy.
Yeah, he's frozen. His hands are frozen.
Oh, no.
Just like Jermaine Kearse's hands when he tries to catch a football. Ooh. That didn't make any sense, but I pulled the joke anyway. Nathan, if you can hear us, just join us back when you get a second. Yeah, Jeff, I'm just not that concerned about playing in Green Bay. And I'll tell you why. Two things. The weather doesn't look that bad. If this was, 2 feet of snow or whatever, and, it was like a snowstorm, sure. Yeah, then I get worried about the game plan, and is Seattle just going to run the ball like crazy? It completely changes the game, obviously, from a coaching perspective and an execution perspective. But the second reason I'm not too worried is Aaron Rodgers hasn't been that great this year. I mean, he's not a bad quarterback, but what's funny is, I don't know if you saw this, he did win like a Pro Bowl alternate or something like that, which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, purely name recognition. But he hasn't had a great year. If you look at like all the advanced metrics, all the advanced stats they've been putting out there, like QBR, everything, he's not ranking as like a top 5, top 7 quarterback. He's been missing a lot of throws. I don't know if you mentioned it. That Lions-Packers game, the last game of the season where the Lions almost pulled it off. Aaron Rodgers was missing a lot of throws. I watched that entire game, and I watched it over on the All-22 on the coach's film. Rodgers was really off. I don't know what happened, but many people were saying like that's what the rest of his season was looking like. And all I gotta say is I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the strength of that offense. Yeah, obviously he's better than like a replacement level quarterback, but I don't think he's the Aaron to worry about. I think Aaron Jones has had a phenomenal year for them. They have like the 4th ranked rushing offense per Football Outsiders. Pro Football Focus, actually, just while I'm on it, has the Packers as a top 10 rushing unit. So average that out, they're basically a top 5 running unit. I'm just not that worried about Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's going to come out balling like we saw in 2013, 2014, 2015. Is like heyday years. Am I off base here, or what's your take?
No, you're exactly right. And just like you listen to the media or some of the narratives this week, and everyone's like, it's Rodgers versus Wilson and it's Aaron Rodgers. But that is what you were saying before. That's not who the Packers are this year. And Brian mentioned, I read Brian's game preview, the numbers today. And even no matter what stat you like, if it's passer rating, if you're more old school, or if you're more new school and you like EPA and QBR, Rodgers is under the top 12 in all 3 of those. He doesn't rank in the top 12 in any of those 3 categories. And if you look at the Packers closely, their best asset is, as you said, Aaron Jones, who's been probably their best offensive player this year. And I know Ben Baldwin tweets about this a lot, but the Packers are the number 1 ranked pass protection team in the league, and Rodgers is still doing bad. Not bad, just not the Rodgers we're used to. So those are their 2 strengths. It's Aaron Jones and it's the pass protection. They used to have like 3 really good receivers, and they don't have that anymore. Their receivers are really not that good, and they're not that dangerous. Devontae Adams is a really good one. They're number 1, but their other guys are pretty like they're like David Moore's, Jerron Brown's. Like they're not.
And he was out.
Weapons.
Devontae Adams was out for like 4 or 5 weeks. I don't know if you remember that, with like a foot or ankle injury or something. And I've never seen Packers fans complain so much about their receivers just because they've had, a pretty good swath of receivers over the past like decade, like Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, all 3 at one time briefly. But I think there's real fan and team concern about their receiver depth after Devontae Adams. So I think you hit that on the money. And just to chip in real quick, I think let me just read this paragraph actually from Brian's Tail of the Tape, Seahawks versus Packers game preview, laying some stats behind Aaron Rodgers' performance of 2019. I think it's super, super interesting. He says, Rodgers has been mediocre this season by almost any measure. Are you a passer rating person? Rodgers ranked 12th at 95.4, the second lowest of his career. If you prefer QBR, ESPN metric, Rodgers ranked 22nd behind Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, and Jacoby Brissett. Maybe you're an EPA guy. He ranked 15th. Those aren't good numbers. He is simply not the strength of this offense. They rely a lot on Aaron Jones. Nathan, welcome back to the show.
Momentum is not real. Come on now.
What was that?
Momentum is not real.
Momentum is 100% a real thing.
Ridiculous.
Here we go.
Have you ever played a sport in your life?
Yeah,
momentum. It's a psychological, emotional thing, and honestly, it's not.
Define momentum. Define it.
I don't know if it can be defined. It's an emotional, psychological phenomenon because we can't measure it, or at least I don't think its effects can be measured in the NFL. But this is a side conversation.
I mean, no, hold on. Well, if you're telling me that people feel better when they're playing well than when they're not, then sure, momentum is real. If you're telling me that momentum means something in terms of how the rest of the game is going to play out, then
I think momentum is a psychological confidence thing. I'm not a psych.
But why do we only talk about it when it changes?
Well, I think one
you only
team
ever talk. You only ever talk about momentum when a team is up and they're driving to put the death nail in, and then they throw a pick, and they lost the moment. They had all the momentum and they lost it. If momentum was momentum, then you wouldn't lose it. That's not how momentum works.
I think we have different definitions of momentum.
Okay. I think getting back to Aaron Rodgers. I'll take the W on that one and move on. Getting back to Aaron Rodgers. I think he's gotten incredibly inconsistent, and the Ben Baldwin cut-ups, he can look straight terrible. But he's still got a ton of just physical talent. He can still make crazy plays. He had that insane touchdown to the tight end. Was that last year when they played him? And Seattle went on the win and everything. But Aaron Rodgers, while he doesn't terrify me, I would much rather be playing Josh McCown again than having to face Aaron Rodgers.
You were going to say something, Jeff? I could see
no, I like the last point. The thing with Rodgers is he still has a couple of things where he can do where he's really good off script, and he's good at drawing people offside. And you see how much Clowney jumps offside, and he can still do that deep ball. He still can do those deep shots, but just pass to pass, as Nathan was saying, he's not consistent. And he's not the kind of guy who just I don't know if there's one game where he's like lit up a team this year where he's done so many times in the past. But yeah, he's still a scary guy, and especially with the way the Seahawks can rush the passer, which could be a 0 against the best pass protecting unit. That's always a little bit scary. But yeah, if you're looking at the Packers and you think Aaron Rodgers is the whole offense like it used to be, this is new. This is Matt LaFleur's team. They've tried to make it easier on him as he's gotten older, and this is Matt LaFleur's first playoff game. He's never coached a playoff game before, and so we don't know what's going to happen there. Like if you remember McVay's first playoff game, he came from that staff. He was on that team. They shit the bed their first playoff game. I don't know if that matters at all. It's also Kyle Shanahan's first playoff game this week. So I don't know how much that factors in, but this is not the Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers team. This is very different.
Are either of you worried about Jimmy Graham's contributions on Sunday? Do you feel like there's a potential revenge game coming against the Seahawks? Am I hallucinating? Nathan, I know you're a big Jimmy Graham fan. What do you think his production will look like on Sunday? You're muted.
Do it again. Jimmy Graham is, I think, well past toast at this point. Like, how is that even like blinking guy meme worthy? Like, what is he even like caught for the last couple of years? Couple 100 yards?
I mean, the past 4 years he's been pretty mediocre.
No, he was good with Seattle. Although I believe he's still the leading touchdown catcher from tight ends for the Seahawks, right? So, anyways, maybe if Will Dissly realized that the best ability was availability, he'd break that someday. But no, but like he's pretty cooked, and I think he's hurt too, right? He's dinged up. He was on the injury report at least. So, no, I don't. I mean, this defense has let a lot of people make big plays on them and stuff, but I don't think Jimmy Graham's anything to worry about.
Yeah, and what revenge, really? Like, the Seahawks trade for him. They let him get more money in free agency. What revenge would there be? He should love the Seahawks.
This is true. I still can't believe the Packers are paying him what they're paying him. I don't remember if you guys saw
it was a lot. It's like $10 million a year.
It was the same amount of money the Seahawks and the Saints were paying him. I'm actually just pulling it up right now because I'm so freaking curious. So, okay. So he has one more year left on his deal. It was a 3-year, $30 million contract, basically what the Seahawks paid him. Had a $12.6 million cap hit this year, $11.6 million next year. I could see him retiring after 2020, to be honest. I think he's a outside hobby type of guy, loves to fly, all that fun stuff. So interesting. Yeah, I'm not that worried about Jimmy Graham either. Shifting gears a little bit, one area we haven't talked about is the Packers defense. Well, we touched on it a little bit, but their pass rush, particularly off of a major free agency haul and 2 to 3 key players, it's pretty aggressive. It's pretty scary. They're a top 5 pass rushing unit. Football Outsiders has them. I have it right here. Football Outsiders has them as a top 10 unit. And I think Pro Football Focus actually has them even higher. Pro Football Focus has them at number 5. They've got Zadarius Smith. Preston Smith, I think, is the other one. Jeff, how concerned are you about Seattle's offensive line matching up against their defensive line? I truly believe this is the matchup, like, determinator of Sunday's game. Like, whoever wins this matchup, in my mind, will win this game. Obviously, the Seahawks, are coming off a really good performance against the Eagles, which actually have a pretty strong defensive line. They are playing with a ton of backups. Dwayne Brown, I don't know if you guys saw, could potentially be back. It sounds like Pete Carroll had said that he's going to be doing some slight work in practice over the next 2 days. He had his surgery, I think, 2 days ago. So we're like 16, 17 days, and the timeline for his recovery is 2 to 3 weeks. So we're right smack dab in the middle of that window. Jeff, are you worried about this matchup? Are you worried about this defensive line?
Yeah, there's a lot of concerns I have right now. If I was going to say there was one area that scared me the most about this game, it's definitely this. You saw what Fletcher Cox did last week, and that was just one guy. And now you put Zadarius Smith, who's I think the number one ranked in terms of like productive pass rush this year. I think PFF has him number one. Preston Smith good. Kenny Clark is really good. So that's three guys against an offensive line that had like 4 or 5 guys missing practice today. They're going to have to step up. They played San Francisco. They played Fletcher last week. Cox almost blew up a bunch of their plays on his own. So having 3 guys like that, it's a scary matchup for me. Another thing that does worry me is like the Brown Yapati thing. I remember last year in the playoffs when they had those guards missing. I think it was Sweezy and Fluker, and they hadn't played in like 3-4 weeks. And they just inserted them into the lineup and assumed everything would be the same. And they played pretty terribly. There was a big adjustment period, and if you look at Fant and Jamarco Jones at guard have been pretty good. I thought they were pretty good in the game, especially in pass pro. So if you just insert a couple new guys in who haven't played in a while, that would really worry me. Although I'd love to get Dwayne Brown back. So if you combine all those factors, I think there are a lot of question marks, and it is probably the area that can prevent Russell from taking over the game. So they need to hold up in pass pro, and I hope they don't try to overthink it and try to start going heavy on run. And Pete's had some concerning comments in that area this week. So this is the matchup. I agree with Evan. This is the matchup that's going to determine the game for me.
And counter question to that, it sounds like Mike, I don't know how to say his last name. Is it Lupati or Upati?
Upati.
Lupati?
Just Upati.
Upati. Okay. Okay. I'm a complete child. Okay. Mike Upati, it sounds like he's getting a second opinion on an injury he has. Jeff, is his potential absence concerning to you? Does that change your prediction at all? How concerned are you about that?
It depends how they want to play. If they want to try to be a run-heavy offense, Upati was pretty good in that area. But if they want to be more of the passing team, I think Jamarco Jones can hold up at guard there. I don't think Upati is a great pass protector. And I'm fine with Jamarco Jones at left guard if that's your only – if you're going to try to pound the rock and run Marshawn Lynch 15 times, it's not going to work. It's just they should give Marshawn 4 carries max, all goal line.
Thank you. You saw Pete's comment about like giving Marshawn a ton more opportunities this week. That scares me. I'd rather have Travis Homer get those carries 100 times out of 100 times. I think forcing Marshawn could end up losing them the game if that's what they do. Wow. Or Nathan, are you as concerned as we are about this pass protecting offensive line versus what is a really, really strong defensive line? And just a quick follow up to that before you answer, I searched up on Pro Football Focus. Zadarius Smith is a top 5 pass rusher, right next to J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones, Joey Bosa, Myles Garrett, and T.J. Watt. The Pro Football Focus grade is a point difference. So basically, he's having an all-pro year, absolute stud. And then Preston Smith is top 32. So a formidable defensive line. Are you concerned at all?
I mean, I'm concerned about Zadarius Smith. Like, he's good, like, no doubt about that. But, like, just in terms of the injuries, I don't know how concerned I am about those because I thought Fant played pretty well. I don't think that Dwayne Brown had a particularly great year. So I don't know that you're taking a huge step back there right now. I think Jamarco Jones, I'm not as high on him as a lot of other people seem to be, but I think if you're just talking pass protection, I don't know you're getting much worse. You might be improving even over Upati. And then, Hunt's hurt, but like we just talked about what Fletcher Cox did to Joey Hunt. So he's a smart player. He's a nice player, but like he's a huge liability at times. So will they get worse there if he misses time? Probably, because they just brought up a guy like literally never heard of. But Hunt's, I don't think he's probably even an average center. So, you're already trying to work around some stuff there.
So we know that they obviously love DJ Fluker at right guard, total mauler. in the in the run game. But I guess my question is, should Mike Upati be starting regardless? Or no, should Jamarco Jones be starting regardless of Mike Upati's, health status? What's your take on that, Jeff?
I would say, yeah. I would say, but the Seahawks, this is an issue that we're never going to solve because we all think pass protection is very valuable. And the Seahawks, from John Schneider to Pete Carroll to, I don't know what the offensive line philosophy is, but they value run blocking. It's how they built their lines. It's why they targeted Upati. They value run blocking more than pass blocking. And so I would like to see a pass protecting line with your best player being your quarterback. But I don't think the answer is yes. I would like to see Jamarco Jones play right guard if Upati can go. Yeah, I agree.
Well, this would be for left guard, right? Because Fluker is playing right guard.
Oh, you're saying regardless.
Yeah.
Should he play left guard?
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
Okay. Interesting. Nathan, what's your take? You're muted.
I'll get this sooner.
3 out of 3.
Wait, so what's the question? Whether Jones should be starting over Upati?
Yeah, regardless of Upati's health status.
Like I said, I'm not as big on Jones as I think a lot of people, or some people at least, are. I think Upati has played okay. So I'm in no hurry to make that switch. But especially, if Seattle decided that they wanted to pass a bunch of times, then I think Jones is probably pretty easily the better option there. But they don't, and so I think Upati's fine.
Moving to the defensive side of the ball, it sounds like Quandre Diggs got out healthy. Jadeveon Clowney got out healthy. The big, basically, takeaway in Pete Carroll's press conference was that the Seahawks are mostly healthy entering this game. The defense has seemed to be a little bit better in the second half of the season. We spoke earlier about Green Bay's rushing offense and how they're a top 5 unit, and Aaron Jones has been a total stud for them this year. How important is shutting down their running game? I'll start with you, Nathan, since you are a huge believer in the running game. How important do you think stopping the run is in this game?
They shouldn't let Aaron Jones run for a touchdown every play. I think that's important. They also should not let him just gash them for 20 yards, and they should look into tackling.
I appreciate that analysis. That's very in depth.
Yep. But as is well known, rushing is not particularly effective, and so no, I don't think that there should be any idea. They're going to, because it's Pete Carroll, but no, I don't think that they need to go into this thinking, we got to shut down the run game. We got to commit. We got to overcommit. We got to do whatever it takes to shut down Aaron Jones. No, it's not that a big deal.
Jeff, do you have a different take?
Yeah, I don't want to see them overcommit, set up areas where they can hit the middle of the field on you. But I think him in the passing game is something you got to watch. I think he's one of their best options in the passing game. And I think Jones can get to the second level. If you can get him on our linebackers, that can be an advantage for them. So I think they really need to have a good strategy in terms of how do you cover him in the open field, because they use him a lot in that regard. And he hit the Seahawks on some big plays down the field last year when they played in Seattle. I think in the first half he had 2 touchdowns, or could have had 3, something like that. So he's a guy I would more worry about in the passing game than in the run game, because if they want to try to run and try to beat Seattle, fine, do that. That's the least efficient way to play. So I just worry about who's going to cover him in space, because you saw some plays last week where they had trouble tackling Miles Sanders in space, and he had that little shimmy move. But overall, yeah, they got to have some sort of plan that's not just stack the box and take away the run game so Aaron Rodgers can pass. That's not the way to win.
Are you guys at all concerned about Ezekiel Ansah's injury? It sounds like he has a stinger and is iffy for the game based off what I last saw. Do you think that's a big loss, Nathan, or do you think the Seahawks can easily look past that?
I don't know. I mean, it's a big loss because like who else? It's just
like who else has a blood flow in their body, basically.
Yeah, like I can at least pin some like dreams on Ziggy. Like maybe he's gonna repeat his Philly, from earlier in the year, his game then. But like, ultimately, no, I don't know that they're gonna. He's just not very good. He's kind of bad. And like on that play, he got hurt. He got outran by Josh McCown. Like Josh McCown turned the corner on him. Like
we talked about that a lot in the post-game show.
Did you? Okay, all right. Yeah.
Let me tell you something.
No. It was. We were all laughing a lot.
Let me tell you something right now. Okay. You know what I had for lunch today? 3 in-and-outs, 3 in-and-out double-doubles in a medium fries. Where is this going? Me after lunch today would not get outrun by 42-year-old Josh McCown.
Have you seen the video of him though? All right, so like, I guess in fairness to Ziggy and like to remind us just how ridiculous all NFL athletes, yes, even Josh McCown. Have you seen that video of him playing basketball?
I did.
I think I saw him like dunking, right?
He does like a reverse double clutch dunk, and he's like, yeah, he's good. He's athletic, I'll say.
He's not outrunning me. Just kidding. No, but that was embarrassing by Ansa for sure. Staying on the defensive side of the ball, I'm really, really, really encouraged by Ugo Amadi's play last Sunday. Super excited about that. And Pete Carroll seemed a little excited about it too. I don't know if you guys saw his comments today. Did you guys see what he said about Ugo Amadi today?
Got to get him out there.
And do you know what else he said? I wish I had played him sooner. I'm paraphrasing, but he had wished he had incorporated him into the defense sooner.
And do you know what he like what options he had to say about Ugo Amadi? Like kind of like none, right? Like Kendricks is hurt, like they have no other nickel corner. Like who knows? He played all right. I don't think he was bad or anything, but he didn't stick out to me or anything. I didn't like see him jumping off the tape, which is maybe good for a cornerback. But yeah, I don't know.
If I am correct, I believe he had Seattle's best overall grade out of any player, offense or defense, in last week's game. And I'm just double checking that right now.
Yeah, double check that, and then if that's true, I'm gonna yell about PFF for a minute.
It is. Why is this so difficult to find? Oh, this is keep talking for a second.
Well, I was gonna say, Evan, to your point, it was the same stuff Pete said about Puna last year when he was giving snaps to Shamar Stephen instead, and then at the end of the year, he's like, "Oh, I should have played Puna more." Like, why did I come up with that? And you guys, Twitter last year could see this. Anyone in the world who watched the Seahawks game and see this year. Oh, let's trot out Jamar Taylor a couple more. Why don't we do that?
So Ugo Amadi had a 90.1 grade per Pro Football Focus.
90?
90.1.
What do you play?
The best
snaps?
14. Don't undersell him on those extra 2. Okay. He played 14
what was
snaps.
DK's grade? Hold up. What's DK's grade?
Yeah. DK's grade. Let me pull this up. Hold up. Offensive grades. DK Metcalf had an 89.8. So Ugo Amadi scored higher.
That's ridiculous.
By 0.3.
Just dumb as hell. Just dumb as hell.
You know what that means? Ugo Amadi clearly had a better game and was more impactful on the game. It's just that clear. It's just that clear.
Nathan, I'm coming around on PFF a little bit. I don't mind PFF so much anymore, but this is the kind of stuff that makes it hard sometimes to defend them.
You know what? Just while I'm looking at the offensive grades, Jakob Hollister had a 39.7 grade, the lowest offensive grade of all offensive players on the Seahawks. I felt like he played well. Am I wrong? Did you guys see anything on Hollister?
He had the OPI, which I don't know.
Maybe his
They
blocking.
probably. Yeah, his pass blocking was a 30.3. Like a Jermaine Ifedi type of
He's like
weekly
200
grade.
pounds.
This is true.
Well, Travis Homer's a pretty good pass blocker.
Yeah.
He had a 38.0 grade, a full 5 points better. But no, I agree with you. But guys, I'm really excited about the Ugo Amadi stuff. I feel like this could be a big deal, entering Green Bay. Are you guys excited about this as I am? I feel like Pete's recognition about this, about his contributions, really, what did he call him? Something about molding into form or something like that. Are you guys excited about this like I am?
I think we need to start a list of all the players that we've done this with now. Like we did it with Jamarco Jones. We did it with Marquise Blair. John Ursua a little bit, I think. Who else have we done this with? Where they get in for like 10 snaps. They have one play that kind of stands out. Pete says something nice about him, and then we lose our mind.
I mean, this is like Brian talking about Malik Turner like every single goddamn
week. Malik
week.
Turner's been there every week though when he hasn't been hurt.
Yeah, playing like a whole 7 snaps every week or whatever. Am I wrong?
I think you are wrong. I think he's playing a lot more than 7 snaps a week.
Isn't Jerome Brown getting the snaps at number 3?
Well, he is now because Turner's hurt.
Hope not.
Do you guys, speaking of Turner, still in concussion protocol, are you guys worried that he might be like a dark horse, like underrated loss, against the Packers?
That's crapped on.
I didn't. I'm not suggesting he is. I'm just asking you. It's a question.
Well, I mean, they just balled out. Well, I don't know. They scored 17 points. So I don't know how much they balled out, but like Russ looked like Russ again, and without him and all that. So I don't know, but yeah, I think he's important. Like I mean, Jerome Brown is fine. Like he doesn't kill you, but like I think Turner can give you a little bit more, something a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more exciting than Brown. And I don't think he's any. I don't think you're losing much there. Like I don't think there's something that Brown's like, oh, he's the polished veteran or something like that. I don't think there's any big advantage there. So yeah, I do think it hurts a little bit, but I mean, you still got DK and Lockett and all that.
Nathan or Jeff, any take on that?
Yeah, more or less. It helps to have an additional body because if one of their guys gets hurt, they only have 4 active receivers and 4 healthy receivers last week. So yeah, I like what Nathan said. Just Jerome Brown is like fine. You know what you're going to get. There's probably zero. He's probably the least exciting player you can have at wide receiver. And Turner can do something every so often. He's had a couple big plays on 3rd down this year. He had the big play in the Philly game. So I think it's such a small thing to worry about for them. But yeah, you'd rather have him there than not and only have 4 receivers.
One thing we haven't mentioned is that the Seahawks are possibly playing for an NFC Championship game in Seattle the week after. Have you guys thought about that? Have you thought about the possibility, the small possibility that this could happen? Could the Seahawks beat the Packers and could the Vikings beat the 49ers? Nathan, is there any hope?
What do you want more? Do you want to host the Vikings at home? Or do you want an opportunity to go into Santa Clara and beat the Niners to go to the Super Bowl?
Rephrase your question. What do I want more in terms of just what do I want more?
What do you want more? Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid if we went to San Francisco and beat the 49ers that I might be dead after the game because I'd be talking so much shit and 49er fans might come to my house and try and kill me.
They would never do that.
Yeah, no, we've never received threats like that at all. I would love to beat the 49ers in Santa Clara. I would absolutely love it. The meltdown that it would cause among the Niner faithful, that the Niner faithful they disappear for years. It would be amazing. I hate them so much. I hate George Kittle so much. I hate Jimmy Garoppolo so much. I like Kyle Shanahan, but I fucking hate the 49ers, and I hate the 49er faithful, whatever the frick they call themselves. Bing, bing, Niner gang, win, win, win. I'm so tired of that. So actually, I was originally going to say I'd rather host the Vikings at home, but you know what? Fuck the 49ers. I want them in Santa Clara. I want retribution. I want pain. I want tears. And I want misery among their fan base. So that is my answer to your question. Does that answer it?
Jeff, what would you rather have?
I can't top that. I still think I'd rather host the game and play the Vikings. I see with the Evan point, I would love to win that game. I've been talking about that in our thread when I thought that the Saints would win. But how great would it be if the Niners lost their first playoff game and had to watch the Seahawks host the NFC Championship? I think that would be just as enjoyable. If they go 0-1 in the playoffs and the Seahawks are hosting the NFC Championship, that would crush them. And
I don't. The thing though is like, so if the Seahawks lose this week, are you going to watch the Niners next week?
am I going to watch them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll watch the game.
Okay. See, I'm the other way. Like if the Seahawks if they lose, nope. I'll watch the AFC Championship game probably if the Ravens or Chiefs.
I respect that so much.
I'll peace out pretty hard.
I wish I could do that.
I'm surprised you wouldn't watch the NFC Championship game, Nathan. Like, really? NFL playoffs are it's so entertaining though, like regardless of the
I know I'll watch it. But if it's Niners Packers, that's a hard game. Like I think those are my two least favorite teams. I don't know who to root for. It's a lose. Yeah. I get you, Nathan. That's
Niners Packers would be rough.
That's a punch to the gut.
So who would you root for in that situation?
Oh.
I think it's got to be Packers, right?
Ravens.
Well, no, let's put it this way. If the Packers beat the 49ers, you know they're getting their absolute asses kicked by the Ravens or the Chiefs. I really don't think they hold a candle to either of those teams. Do you guys disagree?
No, I think I think the Niners have a better chance, but I think even the Niners don't win. I'll root Packers just to see Ben's mentions burn. But other than that, I will not care at all.
Yeah, if you're a Seahawks fan, you can't root for the 49ers, no matter what the scenario is.
Turning briefly to the AFC side, it looks like it's Texans, Chiefs, early morning slot on Sunday, or 12 p.m. slot, and Titans, Ravens. Do you think there's any chance the Texans upset the Chiefs? Am I completely hallucinating, or do you think Deshaun Watson could pull something off, Nathan?
Wait, who are the Texans playing?
They're playing the Chiefs in Kansas City.
I don't know, man. Deshaun Watson takes like some bad sacks. Like, and I'm used to watching some bad sacks. Like, I'll defend Russ a lot, but like that, he takes some bad sacks once in a while. But man, I was rooting for the Texans and like I don't know. I was in rough shape on Saturday, but I was extremely angry on some of those. Like, he's just like, there's no plan sometimes. It's like, what did you want out of that scenario? And he just takes these awful sacks. So, I mean, there's always a chance. I mean, any team can beat any team, but no, I wouldn't bet. I wouldn't bet on the Texans.
The other game that they are playing, the other AFC game on Saturday is Titans-Ravens. I think Ravens are absolutely going to stomp them. We won't spend too much time on that game. But are there any – before we do score predictions for Seahawks-Packers, which hopefully will be a classic game in favor of a Seahawks win, are there any other angles of the game, key contributors that you feel like need to have a big day for the Seahawks to win? Obviously, Russell Wilson is huge. We've talked about the offensive line. But are there any – like, pick one individual player, Nathan and Jeff. Jeff, we'll start with you. That needs to have a big game on Sunday for the Seahawks to win. You can't name Russell Wilson. You can't name Dwayne Brown.
Okay, I'm gonna go Shaq Griffin.
Tell me more.
I think Devontae Adams, he's gonna be matched up with him a lot. And I think that's one of the best players Green Bay has on offense. I think he's the kind of guy who could swing the game to Seattle. And I think that that's a matchup you'll just see a lot. And they're probably going to try to move him around to try to line him up against Trey Flowers because Trey really struggled last week. But if you have maybe Shaq against one of their lesser receivers, he's the kind of guy who could take over that game. So I think he is the kind of guy who could really swing the field. The other guy I thought of was Jaron Reed, who kind of showed some signs of explosiveness last week, but kept missing sacks and getting ducked under or whatever. But I'll go Shaq Griffin for now. I think he's a guy who can really swing it.
Nathan, how about you?
I mean, I'll keep beating the Quandre Diggs drum. He was back and that defense looked better, I think. I mean, still just held in the 9 points and all that. So yeah, I think Diggs being back, Diggs having another week to, recover from that high ankle sprain, and him being kind of, I still think he's the most important player on this team, defensively. I think that he's made huge swings in how this defense plays. So I think if he comes and has a big game, I think they win.
And a great thing on Diggs, he played on the Lions for how long? So he used to play the Packers twice a year. He's already played the Packers this year in that Monday night game we've complained about. So he knows this team better than anyone in the Seahawks. So I think that's a great answer.
I'm going to go with Clowney. I know the Packers have good pass pro, but Clowney had an amazing week last week. He had obviously probably the game of his life against the 49ers. Aaron Rodgers, as we've talked about, has already had a pretty rough season. He throws the ball this year like he's constantly under pressure, like he's playing behind the Seahawks offensive line when he's not. He's always a few feet off, a few yards off. He just doesn't look accurate. And if Clowney can really disrupt, cause pressure, and really set that in motion for the rest of the defensive line, it could end up being an ugly game. Seahawks could not only win, I think it could be an ugly game if Clowney has a big game. So with that said, let's do some score predictions. Jeff, I'm going to start with you.
Damn.
Seahawks Packers. Who wins? And what score are you predicting?
We've talked about all the issues on both sides, the major advantages, but I've been saying all year that Green Bay's kind of a fraud, and we've all said that about Seattle this year too. So I'm going to go with the team that has the better quarterback, and it's basic and it's simple, and that's Russell Wilson. So I'm going to take the Seahawks pulling off the upset again. And I say they win 26-23 in overtime.
Overtime. Holy cow. Okay. Nathan, how about you?
I don't think this is a great team. And I think it's going to take a great team to go into Green Bay and beat Green Bay there in Lambeau. And so I'll take that same score and I'll just flip it. 26-23 Green Bay.
Wow. Good Lord. You know what? This will be the Seahawks' first 10-plus point win of the entire season. You guys ready for that?
Man, add that. There's another list. Here's our drinking game. We celebrate obscure young player who came in as an injury replacement and looked good for 2 quarters. We predict the Seahawks' first double-digit win of the year. There's a whole list.
Couldn't even do it to Josh McCown.
That's true.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. The Seahawks are going to win the game 30-20. It's going to happen. It really is. I truly believe that. I've talked myself into it.
Did we get a score prediction from Brian?
We did not. I didn't hear from him.
He actually, you know what? He's let's see here. He's texting me now, and he says that he would normally pick the Seahawks to win, but his lack of faith in Pete Carroll has him going 45-10 Packers. So
wow.
yeah,
Brian,
I know.
ye of little faith.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Although plus side, he's finally seen the light on Pete Carroll, so we can argue less about that now.
Thank God. Well, thank you guys for joining tonight's show. With that said, we will conclude. Great ways to support us. Just quick couple housekeeping items. Patreon.com/hawkblogger. You can subscribe and donate to us monthly. Help, it could be as little as like $2, $3, $4, $5 a month. Anything is super helpful. You can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Plus, not Google Plus. We don't have Google Plus, but you can support us in a million different ways. You can share the show with a friend. All are super, super helpful to spreading the show and hopefully us continuing to create great content, because there are operating costs behind the show with with software, equipment, those types of things. So
and
we really appreciate
great content.
Josh has a video tomorrow. Is that what you were going with?
That's one thing. That's not what I was going with. Derek's been contributing. He's been writing stuff. Had the post up today about running in the playoffs and how much it matters. Does it matter more? Does it matter less? I bet you can't guess.
Do you have let me actually pull up a quick link to that, and I'm gonna drop it in the YouTube chat for everybody so you can read.
Just read it out. It's http://
I just dropped it in the YouTube chat for everybody who wants to read that post from
his second post. Second post. Both have been very good. More to come, I'm sure. Awesome.
Derek, I don't know what your last name is, but thank you for joining. We're super excited about your contributions. So with that said, guys, the Seahawks are in for a big, exciting game on Sunday night. We are going to have to endure the other 3 games first before we get to it, but my emotions will be high. That will be sure. And don't forget, we will do a post-game show 30 to 45 minutes after the game. So with that said, go Hawks.